because guess who was in this chair last week? It was Mark Cuban or whoever. Well, great.
I bet you guys didn't know that.
Yeah. You're my Mark Cuban when it's coming from you, saying because you've been coming to me for 2.5 years.
Yeah, you're my celebrity.
So exactly, and so I actually love that.
In the spirit of Valentine's Day, I want a little sweetheart.
You're my
Mark.
Oh, yeah.
This is the Snowball Effect.
Welcome to the Snowball Effect podcast, where we're going to bring enterprise-level tools and talent to a local small business to help them grow. Hey, welcome to the Snowball Effect podcast. I'm Todd, and I'm really excited about today's podcast. We've got Z himself and Jake. Welcome back to the studio.
Thanks for having us. Happy to be here. Hey, yo.
And we've got a special guest today, one of your other barbers. Is that right?
Yes, he's the man. I'll let him introduce himself. Take it away.
TJ Crossett, newest barber of the Studio Z team. So excited to be here.
I love it. Thanks, TJ. So he's gonna be here in the studio. We're gonna start out by just giving a quick summary of what we've all been doing since last we talked. And then we want to present some of that to you and watch you roll your eyes, watch you get super excited, whatever reaction you might have. And then when we're done, we're actually going to make some assignments, some concrete assignments along a timeline. And that way we're all on the same page and we have a good feeling of what we're gonna move forward with, what we're not gonna move forward with, and who's gonna do what when. Does that sound like a game plan?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we do hope when you guys hear these ideas, some of them are out there, some of them are not. But if you feel like that's the dumbest idea in the world, that you feel good enough to say, hey, Chad, that's stupid, don't do that.
A super quick summary since last week we talked. Now, first thing in marketing you want to do, it's less talking and it's more listening. And that's what we did in the first episode. I hope we spent a lot of time picking your brain and learning about Studio Z, getting to know you, getting to know your hopes and dreams, and really wrapping our brain around what we were trying to accomplish here. And then the three of us went back and we just came up with all kinds of crazy ideas. I mean, there was no idea too stupid, which I think you'll attest to today when you hear what we've got to say. But then we took a step back and said, look, there's some blocking and tackling we got to do. And we laid out on just a customer journey funnel. We laid out some of the blocking and tackling things that we wanted to do, and we want to run that by you. Then we took some of our crazy ideas and we folded in Levi Lindsay, and he joined us and we ran everything by him, and he was such a good sport. So he gave us the thumbs up on some of them. He gave the thumbs down. He just at one point turned off his mic and walked away because some of our ideas were just,
when he had to go.
Well, yeah, okay. All right. It wasn't because of any of our ideas, but we're bringing in one of the best minds in business, and we threw a bunch of stuff at him and got his reaction. And then, as we know, we had Corey Stevens right there in the chair with UZ getting a haircut, and we picked his brain and got a lot more ideas. So now what we'd like to do is present a lot of that to you, and we'll try to keep it going at a nice clip. And let's see what you think. Well, before we jump into this, I just want to pick your brain real quick. Since we last spoke, what kinds of things have been going on in your head? What kinds of ideas? Where's your headspace been at since last we spoke?
Yeah, I would say how I'm kind of taking this question, and if I need to direct it in a different way, that's totally fine. But some of the things that we've been incorporating at the shop is I feel like we've been pushing in the direction of a lot more like partnerships and different things like that with people. Like we've been hitting our social media hard. I've been following like all of the people that have kind of supported Studio Z, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them. I've created partnerships with the fight gym that I'm a part of too, and we've been cleaning up some of their fighters before their fights. I've reached out to Pleasant Grove Wrestling about getting their wrestlers into our shop before their state tournament. So I would say on my end and things that I'm doing, and I'll let Jake kind of explain, and we've done a lot of the same things together, but I feel like what I've really been trying to do now that I've got a team around me is just get the Studio Z name out there, and I want it like ringing in people's ears, and like have people like see a post that gets like reposted by TJ or something, and then it gets reposted by one of his friends, and then the other friend's like, oh, I heard of this through this and this and this. And so I would say I've just been pushing the name. We've been posting. We started a LinkedIn. And yeah, just trying to keep it pure. And yeah, what do you think, Jake?
Yeah, honestly, because like the first kind of podcast meeting we did with you guys here, we talked about kind of a few goals that seemed kind of like outlier goals, right? Like pretty big push goals. It's almost seeming like things are kind of lining into place for us in some of that regard where, TJ's killing it. He's coming in and hitting the ground running. And so, the ability to fill up more chairs and to do it at a high level is hitting with some of those customer goals. So staying pretty close to that metric to make it, which, part of me was like, yes, we want this, but it's like, how reasonable, right? How quickly can we push? So I've loved seeing some of that timing actually coming to fruition per se. And some of the ideas too that we've been able to run with just working with you guys, right? Where it's like, we kind of have an idea in its infancy, right? And then allowing, you guys to bounce that off of quite a few professionals has been really nice as far as some of the things that even Corey Stevens had to say. So, it seems like things are lining up in the right way, and we love that. So
Yeah, and it's on our side. Sorry, Todd.
No, fire away.
I was just going to say on our side, it's been very impressive. Like, I almost felt bad when you started telling me, like, that you've got, like, the wrestlers coming in, the fighters, that you're doing a photo shoot, you have a videographer coming, because it was, like, right after our episode with Levi and Lindsay, where we were like, what if we do maturation talks with your barber? Like, what if that's our idea? And you've got, like, these 3 projects you're already running, and I'm like, what are we here for? So I thought that was really funny. It was super impressive. We have been into the brainstorming stage up till now, and it's awesome to see that you guys have already gotten that ball rolling. And I think this moment, this episode right here is going to be a lot of us being like, okay, what can we stack on top of that and just continue that momentum? So it's been really impressive on our side to see you guys doing that.
And a shout out to anyone that's listening and you hear these ideas and you've got a better idea, just like Christian said, let us know about that idea. But if you hear one of these ideas and you're like, oh, our company can actually help execute on that, believe me, we'll get you on. We'll do shout outs. If you want to reach out to us and you can, I'm talking to you, Bucked Up. Where's my camera? Bucked Up. I want some Bucked Up caffeine in your refrigerator. And so anyway, enough chat about that. Let's get into the business plan. So we'd like to map this out for you. First, what do you guys think? Just getting through some of the blocking and tackling?
Let's go through the standard marketing plan that we created, that graphic that I sent to you guys, and that is on our channel. I don't know if you guys...
I've got it right here.
Yours pulled up. All right.
So basically in marketing, I mean, if you understand funnels, you understand 90% of marketing, or at least the framework that we like to talk. And so basically we take your customer journey and we put it over a funnel. Meaning at the very top of that funnel, you have make them aware, and then make them like aware of your brand, then make them care about your brand, and then they're comparing your brand against others. That means they're getting closer to making a decision until they finally decide, hey, I'm going to sign right there. I'm going to come in and put my butt in a seat and have you cut my hair. Well, then after that, we have now your current customers. And that's kind of the lower end of the funnel, which it then ends up forming an hourglass. And so that bottom end, those are your current customers. And what we're hoping to get them to do is share. They're the ones that are now bringing you more customers with their network and their people that they know.
You can tell it's a good marketing plan because it rhymes.
It rhymes. So we make them aware, care, compare, sign right there, and then share.
And
cut your hair.
Oh wow!
You just blew
that was
my
so
mind.
much better.
This guy.
So just like a little aside, traditionally, marketing teams will start at the top there, like let's make everyone aware at a brand and try to find those customers there at the end. We're kind of flipping that around. In our graphic, you can see we're starting at the bottom. Starting at your customers, you guys get like the plan with the referrals. That's where we're going to start, then work our way up from there.
And one of the reasons we did that is because your feedback and talking about how even though you have these goals to grow your brand, to grow your company, you don't want to dilute the quality of what you provide. And it's by us focusing on your customers first and making them even happier and increasing the delight they experience in visiting your barbershop. That's going to help us ensure that we keep that quality the same while still trying to focus then on growing your brand.
That's right. So rather than focus first on let's get you new customers, let's make sure the customers you have are having a rock solid experience. So that's where we'll start this discussion. First and foremost is we're going to plug Studio Z into the Snowball platform. And that's something that Christian is going to head up. And that essentially reaches out to your current customer base and in a super healthy way and a super respectful way asks them, how was your experience? Is there anyone that you think you could send over as a referral. Did I summarize that all right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Snowball is just focused on having ongoing conversations with your customers, identifying the advocates from your customers, and then using them to help promote your company and drive new customers in for us. So we'll be using our software to do that, alongside with some additional kind of more grassroots way of generating referrals, which will be stuff that is present in your actual barbershop that will be reminding and asking people to leave referrals.
Additionally, let's say they don't have someone to refer, but they're happy to leave a review. Then we can point them into the direction to capture those reviews and even capture video testimonials. And we'll talk about how we're going to use those later on as we move up that funnel to improve that experience for future people by capturing some of those reviews and some of those video testimonials that we can utilize a little bit later. Initial reaction. That's just the snowball effect piece of that. But any questions, comments, eye rolls, like what's your response to plugging in the snowball effect right from the get-go?
I think it's spot on. I think the Studio Z family would be more than happy to share it with other members of their friends and family, and I don't see any hiccups on my end.
Yeah, as long as we can do imports for you, we'll have it set.
Awesome. Absolutely. Yeah, we make it really easy. We can integrate directly with your customer database, whatever you're using for that, and or just use a spreadsheet that you export and import to our system.
Perfect.
Awesome. And building on that then, outside of the Snowball platform, just the referral experience. Now, sitting there watching you, Z, as you were giving a haircut and the conversation you were having, we watched as they just got more and more comfortable with you. Walk me through right now, how do you go about person-to-person requesting referrals, and is any of that going on right now?
I would say 90% of what I do is just word of mouth. We just started the Instagram, but hasn't been relevant.
Is it like in the chair though? You'll be like, hey, do you have any friends?
Yeah, is there any referral requesting that's going on from you directly?
Oh no,
right
the only thing I ever do is I just always carry a business card on me.
Yeah.
So anytime I talk to someone, but other than that, I've never asked for a referral.
Cool.
That was one area, and I think we're good at putting this in the blocking and tackling. That was one area that we wanted to attack is something that you could do inside the shop there. Now, I want both of your radars on, because as far as customer experience, what we don't want to do is turn you into salespeople. You need to be craftspeople that are actually, cutting hair. We wanted to throw out we were throwing out some ideas of how referrals could be generated and how those conversations could actually happen organically, and hence Bucked Up. I am not going to get over this idea. You give out caffeine and drinks and water and things like that, don't you, right now? Has there been any thought about, and I think Corey even mentioned this, about some things we could do right there while they're in your chair that would bring up organically the opportunity for a referral? Here's what I envision, and tell me if this is out of place. While they're sitting there, they see something in that room, and they're just like, what's that all about? Whether it's an item of swag, or whether it's a Bucked Up can or something like that, and they're like, what's up with that? And then they bring it up, and then you're just like, oh yeah, those are for people who refer somebody.
With a
boom.
little,
that's all you're saying. You're not giving them a big sales pitch. It's just coming up organically.
and maybe there's like a tiny little like flyer there that's like free whatever for a referral. You no longer have to be the one like, hey, do you have like someone you could refer to me? It's just there, and they bring it up, and that's where this idea from Todd comes from. Is like, don't mess with the customer experience, but insert a program for referrals with those meshing together. So what is? Yeah, sorry.
Is there something? Because we could create a nice little flyer there that's sitting there that's got a QR code or something like that, but it's just a very passive way that something is there that gets their attention, that could be offered if they gave a referral on the spot.
Yeah.
We're throwing that out there as an idea.
We might talk about this later, but do you guys like free money or discounts? Because I'm more than happy, if we're going to talk about more of that later. If you're thinking of like a physical item, I'll cut out what I'm about to say right now, but I kept a sign out on my desk for a handful of months that said, if you give Studio Z a review, I'll give you $10 off your next service. Like, that's I love that. I
it's
love
a lot
money. I love
easier.
free money.
It's a lot easier on your end, right?
Yeah. Like a knick-knack is cool. Yeah, sure. I'm happy to do a knick-knack as well. Like maybe like a Studio Z pin, but at the same time, like I don't want to expect somebody to send somebody for me so they can be a part of my club where they get my pin.
Yeah.
But like I'm happy to give somebody some free money or like a discount if they're, I don't know. But
Is that
maybe
even
there
more
is.
effective than an item?
Well, so what I would I want to take a step back here and talk about referrals real fast, because we have direct referrals in which a customer is going to give you someone that needs a haircut, right? They're going to give you the information we can reach out to schedule a haircut with. And then there's indirect referrals. And indirect referrals is just another word for like a review. A review is a referral. A review is someone saying, hey, I like this person and I refer, like, you should work with them. But it's not a direct referral, right? They're not giving you an individual. They're just putting their testimony out there that serves as an indirect referral. Also, them sharing a picture of their haircut on their Instagram or tagging you guys in an Instagram post. That's a type of indirect referral. And so when you're in the room with them and you're giving them the haircut, you have a unique advantage right there because you have a captive audience, right? And marketing, we talk about impression-based marketing, where it's just like, how many impressions, how many times can they just see something? Like a billboard is a great example of just impression-based marketing. You have this great opportunity where you control their impression view, right? For a period of time where they're sitting in their chair, you should be advertising your brand in that view. And that goes from selling merchandise, but also to talking about getting both referrals and both direct and indirect referrals. I think that when they're in the chair, that's a great opportunity to really push for indirect referrals because that's an easier way to do it. And because Snowball, the platform, will work on generating those direct referrals post haircut. So when they're sitting in the chair, what I would love to see is a little thing that said, ask us about this or ask us about that. But what you're trying to do is get them to tag you on Instagram or get them to, leave a review. Some of those indirect referrals that they can do may be a little easier than pulling out their phone and trying to find some friends that they can give it to.
Yeah.
You nailed it. Let me build off of that. I like that. A nice little sign or something like that says, ask me how to get one of these beanies. You've got those beanies. You've got those hats. You've got things in there. If there was just something, and you're not pushing this on everybody, but it's just ask me how to get one of these. I don't know how much of that swag do you have? If there was something like that laying out, and they said, yeah, how do I get one of those? And you're like, yeah, anybody that takes an after picture and posts it on LinkedIn, I throw them this hat. Like you do something like that for the indirect, which I think you nailed it. Now you're not interrupting the experience. They leave with something and they're giving a shout out. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's great. I think I'm totally on board with doing that exact thing. One thing that comes to mind with that is, what if we almost do like, we find a way to take like the best picture they've ever gotten of themselves, and then we post that and tag them, and then maybe we do have a little incentivized thing with that. It says like, if you repost a picture of your haircut today, like you said, then they get the best picture of themselves ever, as well as...
Well, and I even think Chad had a great idea because he's talking about their LinkedIn profile picture. So many people have a crappy LinkedIn profile picture. If there was something that was like, we're giving free, like the best picture of yourself you've ever had for your LinkedIn profile picture. Like, how great is that? They can update their LinkedIn profile picture with a haircut from Studio Z, and they give a shout out, and then we give them something.
Yeah, if I just like left this camera and just, I don't know if you know how to, I think you're good enough with it. Sorry. It doesn't take an expert.
Seen a camera before?
Yeah, shut up. It doesn't take an expert to like work a camera and make it look like a good professional headshot. But if we just set up your camera in there, got a good background, which your shop is awesome, it makes a good professional headshot background anyways. And you paint it on LinkedIn as like, get your haircut and a headshot at the same time. You got people looking for jobs who need that, want that. You got people who work at companies now. When their company brings in a photographer for headshots, it's a big deal. It rarely happens, and the employees love it.
That's
so,
exactly
so I'm
right.
just saying,
we could advertise that we are the barbershop that does your headshot.
Yeah, and I think that'd be cool. Either a campaign that's like that, or branding yourself. I don't know. That's a discussion. to be had. But yeah,
If I was to get a headshot, I'd want it to do it the minute after you're done.
So if we
Yeah.
took a picture of that and posted on Instagram, then you could live that way forever.
Yeah.
That's
Because if
right.
it's
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
ground,
And I even
then-
want to borrow the verbiage you just said. The best picture. What did you say? The best picture of yourself ever, or something like that?
yeah, like get a haircut and the best looking, like take a picture of the best you've ever
Yeah.
looked. Something like
The
that.
best you've ever
Yeah,
looked.
the best
That
you've
was
ever
gold.
looked,
And literally, with your background there going on with the Harley Davidson dealership and all that cool stuff going on, it's not like they have to be right in front of a motorcycle, but just that stuff in the background.
But I mean,
looks
that's an
insanely,
option.
but
Yeah,
looks
riding the
insanely
motorcycle.
cool. And an iPhone picture. Like an iPhone picture with that in the background, if it's a high quality iPhone, it is going to be better than 90% of the profile pictures out there.
Okay.
Can we real quick maybe just brainstorm for 2 seconds on what I like? Maybe we just bounce around the room, popcorn real quick. An idea of like, if you left the barbershop, like if I gave you something, like something under, like that would cost us under $5 to do. Like, what do you think?
You can see by the front of my laptop here, I love stickers.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a grown man out there that doesn't go gaga over stickers.
Yeah.
Is that just me?
I've
No,
got
I think
stickers.
I speak
I've already
for
got
all
stickers,
mankind.
and I got a
So,
lot of stickers.
I'm gonna be honest, guys. I don't like stickers. I don't
I
use them.
love stickers.
Not a big sticker guy either.
Okay.
You're not. Okay.
All right. Well,
Good idea though, Todd.
you got
No,
it.
I'm just kidding.
Speaking for me, I love stickers,
Okay,
and you've already
cool.
got
I
them.
think
So
it's a good
anyway,
idea.
stickers are really cool.
Well, and what we're talking about, like with the LinkedIn picture, like the asset that you're giving them is also the asset that they could share to promote you, right?
Yes.
So like that in themselves is like, hey, I'll do a professional headshot with you right after this thing, and you can share it. So that in itself is a value add
Yeah.
that goes even outside of
Yeah.
the sense.
I'm loving that
Yeah, I
idea
like that
of just
headshot
a
idea.
giveaway, and not even anything tight. Like it could be such a like, hey, most of my people love this as their LinkedIn profile, and like that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that. I think people would love that.
Yeah.
The best headshot I've ever had.
I do. Yeah, I
So,
think that's a really good idea.
Maybe
but-
we
but
even
as
put
far
it
as
in
an
our
item-
service, like in description, like our description of our service, like at the end, like plus after your first appointment, you get a headshot of,
I think it's a cool idea. You'd have to invest in a camera. Well, I mean, you don't need I'm stuck on the camera, but
What version
maybe
of
an
iPhone do you have?
iPhone,
Like
but-
honestly, iPhone cameras
But does
are going
that
to be.
decrease the value? Would they come away thinking like, oh, I could have just had my friend take a picture of me?
Yeah,
later?
but not
But it's
after
free.
a sweet haircut.
Yeah,
and
it's
not
free, so
in
it doesn't.
a
So it doesn't
Harley-Davidson.
matter.
You
But
can bring in one of these little ring lights and makes them look special.
yeah.
Yeah.
See,
You set up some
Yeah.
basic things
That's-
there.
that's
A nice
perfect.
ring light. Boom.
Let it be just slightly above free as far as the production
Yes.
of it.
You're right.
But give
You're-
it for free.
you're
as
right.
it
that's
as it
what I-
should be, as it should be.
That's
Yeah.
what I was
You know?
saying. And your haircut obviously is the like crowning jewel of that moment. But yeah, that's
You
that's
get
what I was
two
trying
sources.
to get
You get two sources of light: a high quality camera, whether that's a butt kicking iPhone or something, something bigger, and a nice little corner where the backdrop is
Yeah.
going to be killer. Yeah, then you're talking. That's a real headshot.
Real quick, just going to your question though. If you were to give away something physical, you want to give away something that's branded and that's going to be essentially, it might cost you $5 to do, and they think it's like you're giving them a gift, but it's actually free advertising for you. So that's why hats are very liked because they're usually not too expensive and everyone gets to see them. It's tough. T-shirts, socks aren't seen as much. Yeah.
Corey Stevens said socks, and that's one I was like, if there were socks there that had your brand on it, I know your customer experience. I'm one of your customers. I would be like, oh, sick. What's that? And then I would think of friends. I've already done that, but I would in that moment be incentivized. I would
It's not
want
exactly free advertising. Most people don't see other people's socks, but yeah, it is a cheaper option as far as clothing goes. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that idea with merch. And like one thing that I'm even thinking from what Corey Stevens brought up is like almost like approaching it how you would with like a kid with some of that stuff that he was saying, like how different is it really? So it's like per se you're growing up, you're in elementary school, right? You act good or you do a referral, you get your homework done and there's a treasure box, right? So maybe it's not just socks or just hats or shirts, but maybe a conglomerate where it's like, ask how do you get some Studio Z treasure, right? And things like that.
I have seen grown adults at trade shows. One was Meg Whitman, the CEO at eBay at the time, who's worth gazillions of dollars, go gaga at a trade show over little tchotchkes, like literally going from booth to booth. So I'm saying,
what is
like,
the tchotchke?
Thank you for asking, Chad.
I was like, what? It was just a playground of Polish children. And she's,
Now you're on the spot. What's a tchotchke?
So any kind of little giveaway.
Oh, knick-knack,
I mean,
yeah.
you're talking about knick-knack.
Knick-knack.
So I'm just saying, like little things like that, like our inner child comes out for just something unexpected.
Yeah.
So I love that idea, and I don't want to spend too much on this, but let's identify the right thing and let's start experimenting with the right thing until you see what happens. Maybe it's some Harley Davidson cool little thing, and it's part of a a piece of a motorcycle. I'm exposing my my mechanical limitations here.
What about a $5-10 gift card?
I wasn't paying
to Harley
attention, and then I
Davidson?
paid attention, and he said a piece of a motorcycle. What do you mean, Todd?
No, I mean
like a wheel?
No, if you look around that dealership, are there any giveaways that they're like, this is part of a chain from a piece of the, and it's like a part or a component.
Did you guys walk through their
I've been
what
mean to
they
you today. That's actually a good idea.
I actually love it, but it's something that represents, the place that they just had that experience.
Did you guys walk through their motor clothes section? They've got like a million little things. So like I could get like 100 Harley Davidson gift cards that have like $5 on it, and then they could just walk through Harley after and buy like $5 off.
Just
of
a little
something.
something that they leave.
But back
with.
to free money, right?
A piece of a tire. Yeah.
Well, we've had a lot.
Back.
Yeah.
Oh, look, a fender.
A piece of a motorcycle.
I've been super mean to Todd this episode.
His name's TJ.
He doesn't deserve it.
That's right. These guys are calling.
I told you.
The giveaway would be a piece of a motorcycle.
Christian can't. I get it. I do get it.
Enough giveaways.
I do
have
get
a
it.
full motorcycle.
It is think of one of the biggest value props of Studio Z is the location. It's
I
pretty
agree.
sick.
Yeah.
So
Like a
the
bolt.
location objectified.
Do our listeners know where the location is?
Yeah, I think so.
They do.
Are they not supposed to?
Where is it, Chad?
Harley Davidson dealership?
Yeah, where?
The Harley Davidson dealership.
Where? In Linden?
Oh,
that one?
I'm sorry. Yeah. The
Okay, I
one
was just
in
making
Linden.
sure they
I
knew where our
apologize.
location
We have
was.
said it. Yeah, we have said. It's like, what are you doing?
I just love the whole idea of having a big bucket of just bolts there and been like,
And they're like, I got.
will you do this? Because I'll give you a bolt.
Oh yeah.
And then just look in their eyes and say, it's a piece of a motorcycle.
Yeah.
And they're in.
If you get enough haircuts, you can get the whole motorcycle.
Yeah.
Build your own motorcycle.
Like a
over time.
Bionicle.
It's so
That is
brilliant.
hilarious.
Like
I like
it works
that.
on so many levels. Thanks for humoring me there. But okay, we try some things out, and let's just see what works. But let's awake their inner child, as Jake would say. So excellent.
We've spent a lot of time on the bottom of the funnel,
Love it. That's where
which
it
is
belongs.
awesome. It's where all the action is. But yeah,
Let's move on up. Let's move on up. Okay, so next we wanted to talk a little bit as we move up that funnel into that experience that they're right at that point of sale. And some things that we wanted to talk about here were your website, right where they're scheduling that time with UZ or with UTJ. And so let's walk a little bit through that. Christian, you had some nice ideas about the website and about that whole experience there. Walk us through some of that.
We need to get you a better website, right? We can do that for you. We can provide that assistance. And I think it's probably worked for what you needed up until now. But we want to make sure that your website is not just a place where people can schedule, but a place where they can come to learn and hopefully be persuaded to work with you, right? We're going to develop a lot of awesome assets for you. We're going to get great reviews. We're going to get great video testimonials from your customers. A great place to feature that is right there at the front of your homepage. Also, in an effort to personalize, like a relationship with a barber is a personal relationship. As such, we need to warm up your website with pictures of you and stuff about you, your barbers. Get to know them, get to see their faces before you get to schedule with them. That can build your expertise, authority, and trust in their mind so that they'll feel more likely to schedule with you and want to have that ongoing relationship. I think when it all comes down to this, there's a lot of things we can get into with like SEO and how you rank and things like that. But having a good website is important for your customers, and it's important for Google to ensure that people can find you. We need to get you ranking in the top 3 on Google's map stack. So when people type in barbershops or salons near me, you're ranking right there in the top 3. A big part of that is making sure that you have a great website with good content that people interact and engage with. So as we do that, you're going to have customers that are more willing to work with you, easier to schedule with you, and Google's going to rank you better.
And let me interject here and ask a question, Jake. You had mentioned some work you're doing on the back end as far as your website goes, not just the e-commerce side, but can you walk us through a little bit about what you're working on there on the website front?
Oh yeah, definitely. So it started out on a Wix platform, which for the time being has worked for Zaxter, but we're thinking about going to something a little bit more robust, or what I'd assume to be a little bit more robust, which is Shopify. So building out the ability to be a one-stop shop, obviously, but then also promote some of our additional products like hair products, that help day to day, and then also merchandise that we'd like to start doing.
That's fantastic. And I think on Shopify, you'll easily be able to create just a really good user experience, everything that Christian just talked about. And one thing that I recommend making super crystal clear right when they come in there is just we call it the H1 text. It's just your biggest, boldest text. Studio Z makes some sense, but you need your customer to burn literally 0 brain calories in understanding who you are and what the heck you even do.
And that is correct. We've already kind of changed that. It was Studio Z Barber Co. is what we changed to. Is that what you're saying?
Barbershop and Co.
Barbershop and Co.
That's exactly. And then right beneath that, it would say something in big bold letters, and it's going to sound really dumb to you because you're like, duh, this is what we do. But haircuts for men who care.
I see.
A message that says. And that was a phrase that Christian came up with, and I think it's super clean, and I think it's a great message because it's exactly what you do, and it's for the people that really care how they look.
Dang, that's pretty clean. I've been trying to think of a way to say that for a while now.
Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah.
Because it was like people who take their life seriously. It's like, well, that's great, but why would you take your life so seriously? So like, people who care.
It, but you can license it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'll give you your
With that name.
And then the other thing we want to do is look at your scheduler itself and some of the prompts and the messaging that's going back and forth with your customers to make sure, just because Christian has learned so much through the referral messaging and cadence and things like that, we wanted to implement some of those best practices as far as the messaging and the alerts and the reminders and things like that. Messaging that's going on before the haircut as well as messaging that's going on after the haircut to make sure that if there's some low-hanging fruit and some requests we can have as far as some of those indirect referrals or the reviews and things like that, that it's baked in and plays really well with the Snowball platform that you're plugging into. So we just wanted to look at that with you on your end. And which of you actually manages the scheduler itself? The tool.
Technically me, right?
Yeah, you through Schedulista.
Yeah, through Schedulista. It kind of, I guess all of us. I guess I do. I guess TJ manages his schedule. Court manages his schedule. Jake's an admin on there now too. But we all kind of have our own schedule through there.
There might not be a ton of changes we need to make, but just from my perspective, the key to making you guys more profitable is to make your as efficient as possible in your scheduling, right? We can't have people not showing up for their scheduled haircuts. That's just money going outside, you're losing that money. So we got to do everything we can to make it really easy for people to schedule you, make sure that, especially bringing in additional barbers, that goes really smoothly, and then that we're getting you the most amount of haircuts in the time that you have allotted, while it's still not putting operational constraints and use of the quality still maintains.
And then this photo shoot that you've got coming up, we just want to make sure that all your barbers are getting their picture taken, and that we can put those pictures on your website, as Christian mentioned, but then also on like your Google business profile and things like that, and that we can show off your facility there because it's so freaking awesome. So we can show off your faces and your facility.
Yeah. We'll make sure we have like family photos for sure, like a lot of them, and then we're gonna do live action stuff too.
Are you gonna do individual photos of each barber as well?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured.
That's exactly.
So I figured this section, the website, would be where we're the most aligned because I knew you were working on it. I knew their ideas would be like. So Christian is going to be doing all the SEO stuff and Todd more of the design stuff. And because you're already working on it or have worked on it, it'll, I think, be like... You guys look at what he's done, offer optimization suggestions, and if needed, do it yourself.
Love it.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the website, like I don't want to touch it, the code. I want to just give you all the recommendations of what to do.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's your baby, and also understanding how to manage it going forward is going to be critical. So me jumping in and trying to do things my way won't help. But a full list of recommendations will be provided to you, as well as if there are a few things we can do ourselves through widgets or add-ons, we can.
And like any content that'll be me. I don't know what that is going to look like, but for example, I mean, later on, we're talking about content for balding men for TikTok specifically as one category we can go down. And I will work with you, Zaxter. We've talked. You already have some stuff written out, and I'll work with you to like make that a little bit more robust or clarified, things like that, and get it on the website. Additionally, Zaxter already has remember when we talked about like the 8 categories of haircuts, that's most of the haircuts he does, he already has that written out. Maybe there's more to do there. I haven't looked super closely at it, but that's another thing that we wanted to add to your website was like, I don't know what it would, if we would do a before and after with each of those categories, or what that would look like if it would have a picture of the haircut with it. But that's something I'll be working with you and probably with Jake with as well. But yeah, did I miss anything with that?
No, you nailed it, and that works out really well as we move up the funnel there on some of those categories. We would love to create some content on those most common haircuts that you actually cut. What do you say? The haircuts that you're doing.
The type of haircuts we're doing in our shop.
Yeah, and watching you as you're giving people tips and things like this of how to actually style their hair. We would love to create some content around that for your most common styles.
Yeah, this is an idea that I'm incredibly bullish on because it affects all portions of the funnel. I think getting you involved in producing a lot of great educational content is going to be great for helping your current customers to be happy and more sticky, want to come back with you often, and then also making sure that you can have additional ways to bring in new customers. If someone left like when you styled my hair and you talked me through it, if I had like an actual video of you showing how to style that type of hair, and that when I finished my haircut, you said, hey, you're going to get a text in a couple minutes. It's just going to have a link to a video that will talk you through the steps that I just went through.
And
Corey brought that up too.
This is exactly bigger than it sounds, because I was scared to ask you exactly how to do it because it took me like 5 visits I don't think I'm currently at your level with how to style my hair. Honestly, it's been 3 years and I'm still not able to do it exactly like you do it, even though I should. But yeah, those first 4 or 5 visits, it would have been super helpful, especially after that first one where I was like, I completely forgot what I was supposed to do. If I had like a video or maybe it's as simple as a graphic, or I don't know, probably a video is probably best. Yeah. But yeah, I think
just a link
excellent.
To a YouTube video.
Exactly. Anything like that. It's a really good idea, I think. And that can go out in the form of a text. You have their number, you just cut their hair. That can be automated. I guess it depends on the hairstyle, so that would be an interesting thing.
It's all a part of maybe categorizing it in your customer management platform when they come in, what type of haircut they got. If you could find a broad category for it, it's clicked, that goes into our system, sends an automatic.
It's like, hey Chad, thanks for coming in. Here's the styling tips I went through with you just a minute ago. If you forget,
what I'll say real quick is a YouTube video is great, but we also want to talk about in the future building a place on your site that serves as an educational hub on haircuts. And so if the videos were hosted there, it would be easier for them to navigate to other videos that they're like, oh, this kind of applies, but this actually applies more. Or, oh, look at this. These are tips. And, oh, here's a link to the merchandise that you're selling for the type of hair gel that you use when you styled my hair.
Yeah.
Having that live natively on your site, I think will be even better.
So,
sorry, you were going to say something. I never.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I kind of along the lines of that, but almost a question about, Snowball software, right? As we start to categorize some of those links for those videos, is that something that Snowball is able to do, is categorize a client profile in a lot for some of that automation as it goes through?
Absolutely. So while Snowball is focused on having conversations that are focused on soliciting reviews and referrals from your customers, it also could just be a general touch point with your customers for other things as well.
Very cool.
It's not commonly used that way, but it is a great, we have a lot of companies that are doing something like that. And we can easily build a customized automated workflow for you that, hey, a customer came in, has this type of haircut, boom. After that has been confirmed or that status has been updated in your CRM, in your database, it sends a text message out to them. Absolutely.
TJ, what do you think?
I think that's huge, having a spot that you can have just a place where you can go look for styles. Me growing up, I had the same issue where I love my hair walking out of the shop, but then I can never get it to do the same thing. So I think that, having a place to just go look at that would be super awesome. And also, maybe it could be something like at checkout where you click like their hairstyle and that's how they get the link. I don't know if that's an option, but
I think your mind's in the. I think you're right on with that. I think something that we can automate right at that point that just says, what kind of haircut was it? Boom. And then that's the kind of video that they get. Is that what you're thinking?
Just so it's not something that they're having to do. Like
That's
they're
right.
not guessing like,
Right, yeah.
oh, is this a short style? Like they don't have to guess. We're doing it for them, so it takes them right to that video that they need.
And at the end of the day, you're building that brand as this isn't just the place they get haircuts for those that care. You're the barber for those that care. And that's why you're arming them with the type of material, because they care what they look like. So this is the kind of stuff that they're gonna want. Go ahead, Z.
I everything you're saying is, I think, things that we have had in the back of our mind, and it's cool to see them put on the table and actually see how they could actually realistically be put into place. So like, I think we're blocking all the things we need to block, and we're tackling the things we want to. Like, I've been wanting to do this, exactly what you guys have been saying, for a few years now, and I just like haven't had the team
how
to do it. Yeah, so I'm excited to put the pen to the paper and actually like do these things, because I think you guys are hitting the nail on the head with this.
Well, one of the coolest things that you have as a company is you have the opportunity to create advocates for your brand in the way they look. So your skill is what allows their hair to look so good that people ask them, oh, your hair looks amazing. Where'd you get your haircut, right? But the problem is you can only do half of that. You can make their hair cut. You can lead a horse to the water. You can't make them drink, right? You can make their hair look great, but you can't style it for them every single day. So the other half is making sure that they're doing the very best job they can, because day 2 or day 3 after I got my haircut, I got comments on it. After that, your magic was gone, and it kind of looked like a really, really good Great Clips haircut, just because I'm not styling well, right? It's not you. You did an awesome job. I'm failing. So when you can make me do a good job, then I become a better brand advocate for you, because I look better and more people are going to ask me about my haircut, and I can get a referral for you better.
And then additionally, at these points of where your customers are touching your brand on the website and things like that, this is where some of the reviews and some of the testimonials and the video testimonials that we can put out there. So if they've considered, this level of a haircut, and they finally come to your website, there's some nice social proofing going on. People that look great that are saying, this was the greatest haircut. This was the greatest haircut experience I've had. Like, those types of little shout outs from your customers are really going to push people from looking at your website to actually scheduling an appointment. And that's what we want to do is how many people are looking versus how many butts are in a chair getting a haircut. And we can really increase that, taking some of those snowball reviews and those video testimonials and putting them front and center. Another thing I'll just touch on quickly, because it's kind of snooze fest, is we got to get you out on a bunch of business listings, and I'd love to work with you, Jake, on that, is just getting your name, address, and phone number accurate on many business listings. For example, if I go in on my Apple Maps right now, and I type in Studio Z, I'm unable to find Studio Z on there. It's because Apple uses Yelp. And right now you're not on that business directory. So boom, that's an easy one we can check off. And now you're opening it up to so many more people, and you're just easier to find when someone's in that geographic area looking for a barber. So there's some low-hanging fruit there that we can do that I think are really going to help you show up a little bit more on search engines and get more people into your shop. So questions on that?
I love it.
Sweet.
It's great.
Snooze fest, but that's some of the stuff we got to do. Moving up, your e-commerce. Let's just touch on that briefly.
Obviously, there's limits to what we can do in 3 months, but we want to identify the foundation of e-commerce. So part of that is social, an audience on social, and the other part is the actual shop itself. Sorry, were you going to say something?
No, it's gold.
And I don't even remember what I was going to say, but please say something.
You got it. So what you're building right now on Shopify. So we just want to work with you on that. Take a look at the back end. Just make sure that imagery looks great. That you're listing all your products in there the way you want to. And then really that other piece that Levi Lindsay touched on is building out your social presence. That audience there that looks at you as the barber for those that care about their hair. That loyalty and that following that you're building there, that's what's going to take you to the promised land over the long haul. And a couple quick points on the social media piece. LinkedIn, you're gold there, and I think there's a lot of opportunity there, I should say, on LinkedIn. And so we want Chad to take you through a full personal branding course that he's a master at on LinkedIn and say, this is what other people are doing that's really successful on LinkedIn, and this is what you can do. Now, he can't do all of your LinkedIn and your social posts, but what he can do is get you up that learning curve more quickly so that you're starting with some best practices, and then we can work with you on building out some social habits, of regular cadence social habits, of posting and different ideas that you can use to really build your brand out. And we heard Corey Stevens say that was one of his key takeaways, is you need to be the LinkedIn barber. And what Chad's great at is saying, great, here's all these great ideas, but how do we operationally put this into some bullet points that you can actually do without shutting down your barbershop and just focusing on LinkedIn all day? But how day to day can you just do some things to really build your brand on LinkedIn? My favorite thing that Corey Stevens said is, he said, what is LinkedIn? It's Instagram for people with jobs. And that's your demographic. That's your demographic right there, are these people with jobs and these men that care what they look like. So I think it's a perfect platform for y'all. I think we've covered everything just at a super high level. Anything anyone wants to add on the blocking and tackling stuff?
There were the Corey Stevens, those 3 things there. The samples. I do want to talk about the samples.
Well, this is perfect because
that's awesome idea.
There's a couple things that I just want to circle back and go through now. A couple things that Levi said. So that's exactly what I was thinking now. Is now that's all the blocking and tackling. Let's go into Levi and Corey. Favorite from Levi. We pitched him just a bunch of insane ideas, and there were a few things that he really latched onto. And one of those Christian already highlighted with the e-commerce. The other one was this balding content. And when I say balding content, I see you nodding your head, and I'm nodding my head because we've got some opportunity here to create some niche content. You mentioned something to me yesterday, Z, when you said X percentage of my clientele are receding.
Yeah, what was that number?
I would say 100% of men are receding at all times. However,
thanks. That makes me feel better.
If you want like people who label themselves as going bald, I would say like 40% of my clientele, 50% of my clientele is like in a state where they're doing what it takes to look where they're willing to sacrifice other styles to look more full. That makes sense.
I think we can create some butt-kicking content that has you showing people the right kind of haircuts that are going to give you the most confidence as a person with receding hair, as well as ways to style your hair. And I think the combination of that would just be gold online, as well as I think that's a demographic of people that are desperate for help with their hair. And I speak from experience. So that's the first thing that I'll put out there as far as Levi that he really latched to and said, I think you got a really good shot of making some waves with that. That's the first one, and that's the biggest one from Levi. And then just hammering through a couple things that Corey said. We talked about samples, offering something that you could give right there as just kind of going that extra mile. And as he would say, it's that writing the personal note.
What did you guys think about that? The samples plus... What is the barbershop version of writing a personal note and putting it in the package when they buy your product? Do you know what I mean?
I think the samples are about as good as it gets. I've always had a hard time like pitching and selling my clients' products after, because I don't want them to feel that they're there for like me to like, sell them anything other than like what I can do for a haircut. But the products I use, I'm not saying there's not other products out there that work great, but like I know what I use is going to work. And if you aren't styling with at least what I'm using or something similar, which I don't know it's not going to look the same. Mm-hmm. And so I like the idea of a sample, because I still think so many people are going to be like, oh, let me just buy that in shop, like the actual product. Great, that's fine. But for the 50% that are like, if they feel like the hair is too good to be true, if I have like a little sample thing with a link on it where they can literally like type in the link and it takes them right to buying that product. Like if we give them like Corey said, like a few weeks sample, but I even like the idea of like a few days sample is all. Like they need like 3 days, 4 days on their own. I always tell my clientele when they leave after their first appointment is like, hey, I need you to go home and I need you to style your hair for a week straight. After that, I don't care if you style your hair anymore, but I need you to ingrain this in your brain. So if they even have like a week's worth of product, and then they like, like any good drug dealer would do, you get them hooked on, it, and then they need to re-up.
Yeah.
So
I think it's an excellent idea.
And then another idea that Corey mentioned was the free haircuts for maybe some LinkedIn bigwigs,
Like
some
once a
people with
month.
influence.
What did he say?
Yeah,
Like,
just once in a while. And I propose that that's something. Well, first of all, I want to know what you think about that, as far as rolling out the red carpet for some people that have a big reach on LinkedIn.
I think that's just the start of the Studio Z podcast, in my opinion. I think that's just, we start the Studio Z podcast,
and
that's a good excuse to bring on these big names,
Are you thinking every episode you're bringing on an influencer, give them a free haircut, record the haircut? That's what you're talking about, right?
Yes. I have a hard time. Like giving free haircuts to people who aren't like Studio Z people in general, because I have a lot of people who are like more loyal to me than some dumb influencer. Not dumb influencer, than some influencer. And so it's like, yes, it would be for free, but like, I just like, I'm loyal to the ones who are loyal to me. And so I'm thinking about the best way to go about, but something like that once a month where I'm bringing in someone cool that everyone wants to hear from. Yeah, that's great. But I would love to do that with like who I think is Studio Z famous, So like maybe I bring like Chad, you're part of the podcast.
Yeah, I've been sitting here waiting for the invite.
Yeah,
just say free, and I'm like, okay, I'm just.
Yeah, so I think for me to feel good consciously about it, half my podcast will be Studio Z through and through, guys. And then the other half we can bring on, Corey Stevens for a free haircut, and I'd feel good about that. But I got to show love to the ones who have shown love to me first before I try to hop on the train of some influencer.
That's the best answer imaginable. And I think that plays into your long-term goals as far as a podcast and things like that. And this is a perfect excuse as you're building your LinkedIn personal brand and reaching out to someone and saying, hey, I do this podcast and it's kind of for Studio Z legends, but I would love for you to come in and come in here and I'll give you a free haircut. And I'll just add this. I think when we look at the campaign in whole and we step back and we're like, we want to create all this educational content and we want to get in influencers. Why not merge this?
Mix it. Yeah.
Why not mix this right into your podcast? So your Studio Z legends that are going to get that invite to your podcast, great. You're going to snip that into all kinds of educational content. You're going to that way you're not having to do separate sessions. So why not have the best of both worlds where you're taking care of your customers and inviting them as like you're going to be on the podcast, even though socially, okay, so you're not getting this social street cred, and then you're inviting into that these LinkedIn people and sporadically putting them in. I think you can get the best of all worlds.
Yes, I agree.
And you're getting the reach, you're getting the educational content, and you're making your customer base feel like $1 million. Because guess who was in this chair last week? It was Mark Cuban or whoever. Well, great.
I bet you guys didn't know that.
Yeah.
You're my Mark Cuban when it's coming from you, saying because you've been coming to me for 2.5 years.
Yeah, you're my celebrity.
So exactly, and so I actually love that.
In the spirit of Valentine's Day, I want a little sweetheart.
You're my
Mark.
Oh yeah. Well, I totally agree. It's like with this, it's going to be kind of interesting, like as we grow and like problems of talking about like growth, right? Where do we need to be sitting at marketing for return, and what does Studio Z want to do to continue that community, right, that we've built out, like kind of the love that we've showed to people that have showed love to us. So I do think it'll be a balance, but I definitely see the merit on both ends.
I propose just operationally, as far as an execution plan, that you do like 2 episodes a month, and you just say, okay, what do we need from this? We need education content, we need reach, and we want to reward our current customers. And I think if you're doing 2 of those a month, you could easily piece those in as you need to, and you're getting the best of all worlds. I would come on to your podcast if you were doing one of your people with receding hair.
Yeah. Todd's
like,
we'd love that.
Well, what if the Studio Z family needs to hear from a marketing legend?
Right.
Where are we going to find one of those?
I don't know. Let's look
figure
around.
this.
Let's look around.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, okay, you're getting my reach.
I don't see Mark Cuban. Where?
TJ, you are my Mark Cuban.
See,
Wow.
This is why his clientele love him. right there. Okay, but seriously, if I came on there, you could get 3 or 4 different balding men content, like
Clips.
Clips right from that. So I'm saying we overlay these things, and you're going to get the best of all worlds. And that way, you're not feeling like I'm a full-time video producer. And so I think you just do 2 of these a month, and I think you're in great shape with all kinds of butt-kicking content.
I love it.
All right.
I want to see you doing like dress up in disguise from the eyes down.
Okay.
As like a different balding person each time with like a disguise. Like, I'm the French bald person. And everyone comes in like, I'm
That's funny.
Gary. And it's just you every time, but just in disguise.
It's the same guest every time.
And it's always me when they do
different
balding
disguise.
content. And pretty soon they're like, we know that bald spot. That's
Gary,
that's
no
TJ
Harry.
under the hood.
That's TJ.
So I love it. Hey,
Okay, so you're the only one that heard that. Did you hear that?
What did
I
you say?
totally missed
I
that.
said, I'm Gary, no Harry,
I missed that whole reference. but-
because balding.
You could say I'm Gary, not Harry, because that
Yeah.
would be funnier.
Oh, I thought it was some kind of a cultural reference. I get the Gary no hair. Okay, this is all coming together.
Okay.
It's all
I
right.
love
We
it.
can end.
Hey, this has been fantastic. Love it. Those are ideas. Blocking and tackling. We got all kinds of things that we're going to be working on, and then some crazy stuff for balding folks, and some crazy stuff for some fun stuff for content, and some things to make your current customers feel like rock stars, because they are. Any other questions that you have for the 3 of us before we wrap this baby up?
No, I think the plan of attack makes sense, and I'm ready to make it happen. And I appreciate you guys. And Christian, I love you. You are my Mark Cuban as well.
Yes. This is so great.
I'm going to, yeah.
TJ, who's your Mark Cuban?
Zaxter right here. He's my Mark Cuban, dude.
I love it.
This guy rocks.
This is the name of the episode. I love it. So just a quick wrap up. As far as operational stuff on the Snowball side and stuff making sure that your SEO and everything is rocking and rolling, Christian's taking that. I'm taking stuff that's kind of middle of that funnel and helping you out with that experience when people are just about to decide whether or not you're the one to go with. And then the person that's going to help you on LinkedIn and some of this video content and stuff like that. And podcasting, that's going to be your guy, Chad here. He's going to work with you on that. All right. And as Mike Tyson says, everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face. That's right. And so we know as we execute this, we're going to iterate and we're going to change and we're going to see what works and we're going to see what doesn't. But was there any other wise words you had before we
Day
part?
1 of the 3 months. This is it.
This is it. Boom.
Sweet.
We start today. So thank you everybody for joining the Snowball Effect. Thank you for our guests, Jake, and for Zaxter and for TJ. And then obviously my co-hosts here, Chad and Christian. Thank you so much. And for those that are watching and listening, thanks for joining and stay tuned more for the Snowball Effect. We'll see you next time.